first of all, it's a pleasure to be back in Bucharest. I very much enjoyed my visit last year, and I'm grateful to have received a repeat invitation. I must have said something correct. It's interesting, a colleague of mine said that personalized medicine is what patients think doctors have been doing for the last 50 years. And of course, we know otherwise, and it is clearly the future, but it is important to perhaps lay to rest a number of misunderstandings about aspects of personalized medicine. The first is that it is all genomic-centered. The mapping from the genome to the phenotype, the clinical presentation of the patient, is far from exact. There are many factors that play in. Nevertheless, genomics is currently at the heart, and rightly so, of personalized medicine. And I want to say a few things about what we are doing in the UK and what we have done. I think personalized medicine is best translated in a health system that is friendly to research, in which you've got research infrastructure which enables the conduct of high-quality clinical research studies. And that's what we have been committed to over the last 10 years in the UK. And we've established the National Institute for Health Research, which is a health research system. I use the word system here because it's not just a funder of research. And one of the critical aspects of the National Institute for Health Research is the extent to which we have invested in clinician time, pharmacy, radiology, genomics labs, pathology, in order for them to be able to support high-quality research studies. Now, the scale of what we created, we believe, is significant. So each year we put at least 600,000 patients into clinical research studies. We've currently got more than 4,000 research studies open, and a significant number of those are commercially funded, but although the majority are non-commercial funded from charities and government research councils. And that's having a significant effect on the health service. If you're diagnosed with cancer in the UK, there's a 1 in 10 chance that you will be entered into a new clinical research study. And in fact, at one point, it was a 1 in 5 chance that you'd be entered into a research study. And that's not just good in terms of advancing the knowledge of the action of a particular drug. It's also good for the institution, and because it raises the level of ambition, and it ensures that you retain high-quality clinical staff. So we are tasked now, particularly after the 2008 crash, to contribute not only to the health of the nation, but the wealth of the nation. And our partnership with industry is a very strong and important element of the National Institute for Health Research. And I actually believe, can I say, that Romania has a particular opportunity here, because it's not all about enormous sums of money being invested in the health system. It's about aligning and configuring the health system in such a way that you are a good industry partner for the speedy and accurate completion of high-quality clinical studies. But let me just touch on particular elements of the National Institute for Health Research that have a bearing on personalized medicine. And I want to give you 3 examples. The first is that we have invested in entities called diagnostic evidence cooperatives. Now, we know that personalized medicine is only effective to the extent that you've got a very good diagnostic test that really can stratify. And the Academy of Medical Sciences report from the UK points up the need to standardize and really rigorously evaluate the various diagnostic tests, not just genetic tests, but the various blood-borne biomarkers, for example. There is an important international effort that is required if we're to realize the benefit of these novel diagnostic tests. But the diagnostic evidence cooperatives there are only 4 of them in the UK, and we have one in Leeds, which is where I'm based, and we are working with health economists, clinicians, lab scientists to evaluate a series of biomarkers and in vitro diagnostic tests in musculoskeletal disease, hepatology, and renal medicine. We're also looking at a number of oncological markers. But this is embedded in the health service. Industry are important. We've got, for example, a partnership with Siemens Diagnostics looking at the validation of diagnostics in scleroderma. We're looking at diagnostic tests of acute kidney injury with a number of major companies, including Abbott, Alpha Labs, Astute Medical, Bioporto, and Alair. And we're also doing some work with Randox laboratories looking at the early identification of delayed graft function in renal transplantation. So this isn't all about genomics, but we believe in these diagnostic evidence cooperatives and would ultimately look for them to feed the evidence to bodies such as NICE and the European Health Technology Agencies. Now, the second example is perhaps the most eye-catching, and this is the UK's 100,000 Genome Project. And this is an ambitious plan to do whole genome sequencing on 100,000 patients by 2017. Now, we're not alone in having this aspiration, but I think there are a number of critical aspects to this. First of all, in the National Health Service, in theory, if not in practice, we ought to be able to address that question I raised at the outset, which is how do you map, or how can we unpick the mapping between the genomic data and the phenotype? And in the health service, because we've got largely, well, actually an enormous data set of health records, we, in principle, can use this 100,000 Genome Project to map the genomes to the healthcare records that would be routinely collected. And we're focusing on rare diseases and cancer in the first instance. There's a really excellent website that I would commend to you and suggest you have a look at because it does give some very interesting insights. We've got 11 genomic medicine centers at the moment. We will increase that number, and they will be recruiting patients into the 100,000 genome studies. And of course, there's a commercial angle too. My third and final example I want to cite is a recent clinical trial, because there is sometimes a sense that, well, have we done all the research we need? Well, actually, we've only started doing the research here that we need to do, and our Focus 4 trial is a trial of 1,500 patients who've got metastatic colorectal cancer. And the stratification, or rather the arms of that randomized control trial, are derived from the molecular subtyping of the tumor. And the therapies in each of the five are chosen, and KRAS is one of the identifiers or stratifiers. So we're excited about that study. It's an adaptive study. We will be changing the protocol as we characterize the tumor. And I think that is the sort of study we'll be doing much more of. Those sort of studies lend themselves to international collaborations, and I'm quite sure that we would be looking to European partners generally to conduct more of these studies in the future. I just want to leave you with one thought, which is that Paul Workman, who's the chief executive of the Institute of Cancer Research in London, has pointed out that there are 500 promising biological targets in cancer, and drug companies are developing molecules against 5% of them. There is much more work to do, but the great news from the patient perspective is that we really, I believe, will see significant and much more rapid progress over the next 10 years. I was talking to colleagues in hematological oncology, and because we've got such an enormous service in that area in Leeds, we actually believe we could make a significant contribution to curing chronic lymphocytic leukemia within the next 10 years. And it stems from the molecular work that we've done on genotyping the tumor type. So this is a very exciting area. The science is fantastic. The prospects for patients are enormous. Yes, there are interesting cost challenges, but I think they will be overcome because society and patients will demand it. We will demand it. And I look forward to contributing to the debate.